everybody, this is Lee with Creative2xmom, and today we are continuing on with our homeschool curriculum review series, and this week we are talking about science. Now this video is actually part of an open collaboration with April at The Simple Rugged Path, so I will link her channel down below as well as the playlist for all the other videos that have been a part of this series. It's been a great way to find new curriculum, find out what's working for people and what could potentially work for our homeschool as well. So I hope you will check it out. This week's topic is science. Now in our homeschool, we actually use two different science curriculums. In the early elementary years, I really like to use Evan Moor. It's a pretty thorough curriculum, but it's very hands-on. I find that it works really well for the years between kindergarten through a second or third grade. I like the experiments, I like the illustrations, I like the projects that the kids do. Plus, it's one of those curriculums that you can either go pretty minimal with and just do a basic lesson if you're crunched for time that day, or they give so many extra suggestions of books that you can read and projects you can do with your kids that you can really expand it as well. So in the early elementary years, we really like the Evan Moor. Now, as my kids hit about fourth grade, we found this interesting phenomenon. The curriculum, of course, gets more challenging because it's for older level students, but we were finding that the experiments didn't work as well. It was a lot harder to get the materials to conduct the experiments, and then once you actually got the materials, sometimes they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and the explanation wasn't as great for the older levels. So about fourth grade, we transition our kids to Abeka Science. Now, this is a Christian curriculum, so if that doesn't fit with your homeschool, that's something you're going to want to keep in mind. But it does with ours, and so we have started using it from fourth grade on. My oldest is seventh grade, and I foresee us using it through eighth grade. Beyond that, I'm not sure what we're going to do. There are a lot of pieces to this curriculum that you can purchase. There is a student reader. We've got an activity book. I know you can also purchase a teacher's manual, a test and quiz book, as well as the answer key to that. There's an answer key to the activity book. And you can also, there is an online component where you can do an online school with this curriculum. Now, this textbook, or this curriculum, is pretty textbook driven. It's very thorough. There's tons of information. This could easily be an entire year. I believe this is the 7th grade edition, and I believe in this one there's 13 chapters. We will probably only get through 9 or 10 because there is a lot of information in this. It's pretty cost effective. I want to say the reader I got on sale for $30, and the activity books I got on sale for probably $7 or $8 a piece. This is the 7th grade edition, and I am going through this with my 5th grader and my 7th grader. And what we have done, because my kids are not real, they're at that age where they're learning to digest more textbook information. They're still a little bit young for that. So what we've been doing is I will sit down with them twice a week. We do science, and I go through the information in that section, and then we do the activity books together. I ask them questions as we go along. They take a few notes as we go along. I'm kind of trying to lead them in that habit of how do you read from a textbook, take notes, and start to ingest that information. So this is actually something that we do as a group. Now, it's set up to be very open and go, textbook driven, and could easily be done individually, or it can be done in a group. I also feel like it could be done in a classroom, but that's how we do it with the two of my older kids. Each section has quite a bit of information. Like I said, it's very thorough, and each chapter is broken into sections. At the end of each section, there is review questions, and at the end of every chapter, there is review questions as well. Now, I like to take those section and chapter questions and create my own test. You can purchase tests and quizzes, but I just orally quiz them for each section, and then we do a chapter test at the end that I've created. I use the questions that are in the book, but maybe adapt them a little bit more to how we have talked about the text. I like to create my own tests, so that's kind of what I do with this one. Let me turn the camera around and give you a closer look at what the chapters look like. So this is the chapter I'm working through right now. Now we're talking about forestry. We're talking about trees. It's just turning into spring, and I thought this would be a great time to go over the forestry chapter as well as the plants chapter. And this is really what it looks like. Like I said, it's very textbook driven. I do like the illustrations in the book. There's great color photography. A little bit more, we're talking about trees, we're talking about different types of trees, we're talking about how trees reproduce. At the end of each section, there is a section review, which has several different questions, some easier questions, and then there's always what they call thought provokers, which are certain deeper level thinking questions. One of the coolest things I thought that I really liked about this chapter in particular, one section goes through and talks about several different types of trees. So starting on this page, evergreens, balsam fir, Douglas fir, western hemlock, giving an illustrated photo of each one and then talking about its characteristics, where it can be found, what it looks like, distinctive characteristics of that tree. Broadleaf trees. And this went on for several pages. At the end of each chapter, which we're almost there, there is a chapter review. And this is what the test would be on. This is where I come to. I come to those section reviews and the chapter review to create the test for the kids. There's defining questions, identifying question. These is explain, which I would consider to be a 1 to 2 explanation, 1 to 2 sentence type questions, and then the apply, which would be more of draw me an illustration, give me a paragraph explaining these different ideas. And then this is the activity book for this chapter. These were just definition questions. So as we were reading, we were going through, okay, what are the ring of cells just beneath the bark of a tree? And we'd give the term. The activity book is very basic. Lots of white space. I like the variety of activities, but it's a pretty basic activity book. There was also a crossword puzzle for this chapter, and that was it for this chapter. Chapter 12 only had 2 pages. It was a shorter section. I think we worked through this chapter in about 3 weeks. So it was a shorter one. Some of the longer chapters have probably 4 or 5 activity pages. And the back of each page is blank. So a lot of times what we'll use that for is extra information that I wanted the kids. I wanted them to start from the largest part of the tree and work their way to the smallest. So trunk, limbs, branches, twigs. I try to utilize this white space as much as possible for other things that I pull out of the chapter that I think that are important for them to learn as well. So that is the Abeka Science curriculum for the older grades. Like I said, the pros are it's very cost effective. It's a great price point. We actually only buy the activity books and the reader, and it's very inexpensive for us. We only buy 1 reader to go between the 2 kids. As they get older, I can see them needing their own, but at this age, it's fine. It's Christian-based, which we actually really appreciate that it brings God and creation into the curriculum. For some people, that would be a con, but for us, it's a pro. For me, the cons are that there's not a lot of hands-on activity. There are a few hands-on activities broken into each chapter. The chapter that we're working on with trees, I believe there was only 1, and it was a 3-week process for us to go through that chapter. So I felt like that's the hands-on component is definitely lacking, because even in those upper elementary, middle school years, that is still an important part of science, in my opinion. So that's something that either I supplement or we kind of push past, but I would like to see more of that in this curriculum if at all possible. So that for me was the biggest drawback to the Abeka. However, we really do like it, and I can foresee us using it through 8th grade probably, and I'll just have to do a little bit of supplementation. You take the good with the bad. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what do you use for upper elementary science, and particularly any curriculum that you found that has that hands-on experimentation component, because we really love that in our homeschool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out the playlist down below. There's so many great ideas, and this is that time of year that we are all thinking about curriculum for next year, so I hope it gives you some ideas of some curriculum to check out. We'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.